You have 30 seconds to live. 1 cup of water left. A dying stranger crawls towards you, begging for help. Do you drink or do you give? King Rantideva faced this exact moment 5,000 years ago. Despite being starved for 48 days, with his lips cracked and bleeding, he held that final cup and whispered, "I don't want heaven. I don't want superpowers. I only want to stay here and serve every living being so they may be freed from suffering." And there he unlocked moksha and revealed the one truth that separates saints from common mortals. The moment empathy stops being a feeling and becomes your identity, when "I must help them" dissolves into "we were never separate." This is the story of King Rantideva. And by the end you'll see why even gods bowed in tears. Rantideva wasn't born into suffering. He was born into the great lunar dynasty, descendant of sages, ruler of a prosperous kingdom. His palace wasn't just a home, it was a sanctuary. Every morning the gates opened, not for ceremony, for need. 1,000 cattle, 2,000 cooks working in shifts, the smell of ghee and rice filling the air for miles. Beggars, widows, farmers who'd lost their harvest. They came in waves, orphans, wanderers with no place to call home. And Rantideva turned none away. But here's what made him different from every other charitable king in history. He didn't see beggars, he saw Vishnu. Not metaphorically, not as a pretty spiritual idea. When a starving child held out her hands, Rantideva saw the divine looking back at him through her eyes. When an outcast, untouchable approached, someone society said was beneath even acknowledgement, the king bowed. Because to him, there were no others, only God in different costumes. Then the rains stopped, not for a week, not for a season, for months. The wells dried into cracked mud, crops withered into brown dust. The same people who once came for extra food now came dying. And Rantideva opened his reserve granaries. Every sack of grain, every ounce of gold, he poured out his wealth like water until the treasuries echoed empty. His ministers begged him to stop. "My lord, save something for the royal family, for yourself." But Rantideva kept giving until there was nothing left. No gold, no grain, no cattle. The palace kitchens went silent for the first time in decades. His wife's jewelry gone. His children's future traded for one more family's survival. And still the famine tightened its grip. So Rantideva made a choice. If he couldn't feed his people, he would join them in their suffering. He would fast, not for a day, not for a week, for 48 days. By day 49, Rantideva's body was shutting down. His ministers, watching their king waste away, finally brought him something. A small portion of rice cooked in milk and ghee, barely enough for one person, and a cup of water. Rantideva looked at the food, then at his wife, his children, their eyes hollow with hunger. He divided the rice into portions, and then a knock at the door. A Brahmin stood there, trembling. "Forgive me, but I haven't eaten in days." Rantideva didn't hesitate. He handed over a portion of the rice. "Please, eat." The Brahmin ate and left. The family was about to take their first bites in 7 weeks when another knock. A laborer stood there, weeping. "I'm sorry. I know I shouldn't ask, but my children." Rantideva gave him another portion. Now only the children's shares and the water remained. Third knock. A hunter, wild-eyed, starving dogs at his feet, ribs showing through matted fur. Society called him an outcast. Rantideva gave him the children's food, fed the dogs with his own hands.
The fourth knock came as Rantideva lifted the cup to his cracked lips. A Chandala,
the untouchable, below even outcasts. His skin covered in sores, his breath rattling. "Water," he gasped. "Please, water." This was it. The moment your body screams, "Survive!" Every cell begging you to drink. Your family watching, knowing you are seconds from collapse. Rantideva looked at the Chandala, and in his eyes, past the disease, past the social hierarchy, past the separation, he saw himself. He saw Vishnu, and he spoke the prayer that would echo through millennia. "I do not pray to the Supreme God for the 8 perfections of mystic yoga, nor for salvation from repeated birth and death. I want only to stay among all the living entities and serve them so that they may be freed from suffering." The moment the water touched the Chandala's lips, light exploded. The beggar's form shimmered, and standing before Rantideva was Vishnu. The Brahmin reappeared as Brahma, the outcast as Shiva, the hunter as Indra, king of gods. The Trimurti, the divine council. They had come in disguise to test one thing. Would a man who had given everything still choose compassion when it meant his own death? Vishnu stepped forward, tears streaming down his celestial face. "Ask for anything, any boon, any power. Heaven itself is yours." But Rantideva only smiled, weak, radiant, free. "I want nothing, my lord. I already have everything, because I see you in all beings, and where you are, separation cannot exist." In that moment, Maya, the illusion that makes you believe you're separate from the beggar, separate from the outcast, separate from God, dissolved like a dream at dawn. Rantideva attained moksha, not by escaping the world, but by loving it so completely that the boundaries between self and other vanished. The gods wept because they had witnessed something rarer than miracles. A human who chose love over survival, and in that choice became divine. That's the story, but here's why it matters to you right now. Most of us won't reach Rantideva's peak in this lifetime, and that's okay. But we can practice one aspect of his consciousness, choosing flow over fear. Let us see where this matters most, in the place where fear grips us tightest: money. You're making decent money, but after bills, there's barely anything left. Then someone asks for help. Family needs $500. A friend lost their job. Your immediate thought is, what if my car breaks down? What if I lose my job? I can't afford this. That thought, I can't afford to give, creates a trap. The more you clutch in fear, the smaller your world becomes. Trust erodes, opportunities dry up, not because you're less skilled, but because people feel your contraction. Here's what Rantideva understood. Wealth isn't what you hold, it's what flows through you. A river that stops flowing becomes a swamp. A river that flows stays fresh and somehow never runs dry. So here's the practice. Once a month, give something that feels slightly unreasonable. Not reckless, unreasonable. If you have $1,000 saved, give $50 to someone who needs it more. Or give your time. Help that overwhelmed coworker for an hour. Sit with your lonely neighbor for 20 minutes. Show up for your grieving friend. The amount doesn't matter. And you're not bargaining with the universe, you're training your soul to remember, my security comes from flow, not from hoarding. Let us understand how this can work at every scale.
Azim Premji, Indian billionaire, chairman of Wipro, one of India's largest tech companies. In 2019, he donated $7.5 billion to education and healthcare, 2/3 of his entire wealth. But here's what most people don't know. He started giving when Wipro was still small, not after he became a billionaire, not after he made it. In the 1980s, when Wipro was just a vegetable oil company trying to break into technology, Premji was already funding schools. When the company was worth $50 million, he was donating $5 million. He didn't wait. He didn't wait for the board to approve. He didn't wait for analysts to declare him stable enough. He didn't wait for retirement. He didn't wait for the perfect moment. He chose flow from the beginning. And his generosity didn't bankrupt him. It became the foundation of his success. Why? Because people wanted to work with someone who operated from abundance, not fear. Investors, employees, partners, They gravitated toward that energy. He said, I strongly believe that those of us who are privileged to have wealth should contribute significantly to try and create a better world for the millions who are far less privileged. But notice, he didn't wait to feel privileged. He made the choice first. The abundance followed. That's the pattern Rantideva lived, and Premji proves. Generosity doesn't follow abundance, it creates it. There's a film called Pay It Forward. Trevor, a 12-year-old boy with a troubled childhood, helps a homeless man named Jerry by giving him food and shelter. Trevor never sees what happens next, but the camera follows. Jerry later saves a woman who's about to jump off the bridge. Suicide attempt. She's drowning in despair. Jerry talks her down, gives her hope. That woman then helps a stranger whose car breaks down on the highway. She stops, helps him fix it, refuses payment, and just says, pass it on. That stranger helps someone else, and someone else, and someone else. The camera keeps following the chain across cities, across months, showing how one boy's simple gift to one homeless man created a wave that touched hundreds of lives. Trevor never saw the ripples. He just released his gift into the river.
Same principle, different story, comes in the Bollywood film Tare Zameen Par.
A teacher finds a dyslexic boy the world calls stupid. He doesn't get paid extra to help, but he stays after school, weekends, his own money for art supplies. On a rooftop at sunset, the boy asks him, Sir, why are you helping me? The teacher says, because when I see you, I see myself. I was like you once, and someone saw me. Now I see you. Not metaphor, truth. The boundaries dissolved. He wasn't helping the boy. He was helping the part of himself that once needed someone to see him. That's what Rantideva saw in the Chandala's eyes. Not an untouchable, himself. So here we are, back where we started. King Rantideva, one cup of water, one impossible choice. But you know what stays with me most? It's not the gods appearing. It's not the miraculous ending. It's that split second before he gave the water, when his body screamed survive and his soul whispered serve. When every logical reason said drink and something deeper said release. That moment, that's the one we all face. Not with gods, not with 48 days of fasting, but with the person who asks for help when we are running on fumes. With the opportunity to give when fear says you can't afford it. Start giving something that makes your fear speak up. Not so much that you're reckless, just enough that you hear that voice say, are you sure about this? And then do it anyway. Not for karma, not to impress anyone, not even for the person you're helping. Do it because Rantideva proved something 5,000 years ago, and maybe, just maybe it's still true. The moment you choose flow over fear, separation dissolves. If this story resonated, please like this video and subscribe for more ancient wisdom. And if you want to go deeper, there's a book called Bhagavatam Light, Riding the Waves of Timeless Wisdom, Volume 1. It's available on Amazon. Link is in the description below.